Welcome to FuelCast, your go-to space for inspiring, engaging, and uplifting conversations, connecting those who want to make a difference in the lives of our children and communities. Together, we're fueling Georgia's future, one conversation at a time. It's now time for FuelCast Georgia.
Welcome to another exciting episode of FuelCast. I am your host, Rolandria Boyce. I have two very exciting guests joining us today, Dr. Cindy Culver and Dr. Grant Rivera. Welcome to FuelCast.
Thank you.
All right, so before we get started, we always want to give our guests an opportunity to introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about you and your role, and what's the most exciting thing you're excited about in Marietta City Schools.
Yeah, so my name is Cindy Culver. I'm the Director for School Nutrition within Marietta City Schools. I've been there, I'll be starting my 16th school year with Marietta, but my 26th school year in school nutrition. I am a registered dietitian, so I filter what I do through that lens as well, and from a mom perspective as well. My most exciting thing is always, what can we do better for our students and for our families within school nutrition, and just bringing as much new foods and new ideas into the program.
Yeah. Thank you. So what about you, Dr. Rivera?
Yeah, good to be with you this morning. So I'm the superintendent at Marietta City Schools, and my other title, which is probably more important, is I'm Cindy's assistant. And in addition to being Cindy's assistant, what we're excited about, we will welcome over 8,500 kids back to school in Marietta in just a few short weeks. And what we know, and certainly what is important to this discussion, is that if kids don't eat well, they can't learn well.
Absolutely.
And we're excited to welcome kids back. Really make sure they're set up for success through Cindy and her team, and we look forward to a great year.
And that's one of the main purposes of today's conversation, is determining how you guys collaborate and have such a powerful impact in the Marietta City Schools. So I'll start with you, Cindy. What does a day in the life look like for a school nutrition director in Marietta, and what gets you excited about the work you do?
So a day in the life, what excites me about that is that none of them are ever the same.
Yes.
And that's what's exciting about school nutrition. Even though it's very seasonality, we know school begins, we have the holidays, and then we look forward to the ending, and of course our big summer program that's still happening. But every single day it's about serving and leading. How can we serve our students best? How can we serve our staff best? Because, for them to be trained well, for them to be excited about serving our students. And then the leading, how can I lead? How can I teach and make sure that our staff members, especially our managers, are equipped to lead their teams the best that they can as well?
Yeah. So is it okay for me to call you Grant?
Absolutely,
Okay,
yes.
So Grant, you've said, and we do our research before we meet with our interview candidates, you've said all children deserve the opportunity to learn and achieve at their fullest potential. How does school nutrition fit into that belief system for you?
Yeah, so what's so core to who we are in Marietta, we have compassionate, caring adults who come to school every single morning, long before the sun comes up, long before our buses even start rolling, and they're preparing nutritious meals for kids. And I think for us in Marietta, where we have 64% of our kids on free and reduced lunch, interestingly in Marietta, as you look at Metro Atlanta, we have the highest homeless population relative to our size of any other Metro Atlanta school district. Like, our kids walk in the door with incredible opportunity, but also for many of them, incredible challenges. And I think that what our school nutrition program does, those caring people who show up every morning, lean in, what they do is they help level that playing field. They give every kid a chance for success. And I think for us, that's what we value in Marietta. I still think back to COVID, Cindy, when we knew with 48 hours that the state was going to shut down and we didn't know when we were going to open again.
Right.
The very first conversation we had was not about a book or a calculator or a Chromebook. The very first conversation we had was how would Cindy and her team get food in the hands of every child at bus stops throughout the city of Marietta. Yeah. So for us, what we do in our school nutrition program, what our cafeteria managers do and their staff at Cindy, what they lead is as important as unlocking the doors and turning the lights on.
Absolutely. Completely agree.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit more about that. How have you seen academic outcomes improve that are connected to school nutrition, and how has that shaped your priorities as a superintendent?
Yeah, so I think it goes back a bit to what I shared at the opening of this, which was if kids don't eat well, they can't learn well. So for us, we've really prioritized literacy in Marietta. It's been a birth through high school initiative, but at the end of the day, what we understand is kids who don't come to school ready to learn, no matter what a caring, qualified literacy expert does in front of them, Although we know literacy is going to move every subject area in Marietta, let's be honest, it's actually nutrition that's going to move every subject area in Marietta. So for us, it's just about comprehensively making sure that we wrap our hands and our hearts around these kids. I mean, listen, we understand there are children who will get their most nutritious meals inside of a school cafeteria. So for us, we lean into that. What I'm so grateful for Cindy that she does is it's not just about the food we put on a plate, it's actually about the atmosphere we create in the cafeteria and the kitchen.
Absolutely.
It's the camaraderie around her staff. It's the way they do exciting, engaging things with children. Listen, the cafeteria is one step short of a party. And the other compliment is that they also eat. But I think for us in Marietta, it's really about understanding that that is a critical lever that is absolutely, no exaggeration, the lifeline for who we are in our district.
Absolutely, and we talk a lot about how the cafeteria is just not a space of dining. It's a space of social, emotional connection. To your point, it's a party. It's where kids learn and grow and stretch themselves in different ways, so creating that safe space via the cafeteria is beneficial. It supports their academic outcomes and their nutritious outcomes. So I have another question for both of you. What is the link, and I'll start with you, Cindy, what is the link between participation in school meals and attendance outcomes, and what does that data, based on your own experience, tell you?
So for us, our school nutrition program, our logo is Eat, Learn, Graduate. I truly believe, and I know that food is an equalizer, because regardless of, we are 64% free and reduced, but regardless of who you are, if I don't eat breakfast and I get late on my lunch, it's hard for me to focus. And that's regardless of income or socioeconomics or anything. So we know food is an equalizer, and that's why it's so important for us to make sure that our food is accessible, not that we just serve food, but that it's accessible to all students so that they can learn and move towards that graduation, that ultimate goal to get, out of high school and into whatever comes next for them in their life. I have seen firsthand with students, just the opportunities, and it's fun for me now that I have been there long enough where I've seen a K-12 go through the cycle and have bumped into them at a university setting, and that they remember our meals and how exciting the cafeteria was and how delicious that food was. So I know that it's an integral part of their success, not just academically, but also socially, and more importantly, just their nutrition and being able to grow during that time.
Yeah, and create those lifelong eating habits that could ultimately reduce the burden of disease in our nation. So it's critical. It's a big deal. So Grant, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Cindy's the nutrition expert, so I'll defer to her on how we change outcomes for children relative to nutrition. I will say this at its most basic level, and that is children come to school because they interact and build relationships with caring adults. Like each one of us, as three adults on this couch and in a chair this morning, can say that, when I talk about my favorite teacher or my favorite adult or my favorite cafeteria manager when I was in school, I don't think about everything they taught me. I think about how much they cared for me. And we have the ability, just like my mom does, right, to show love through our food. And I think just like a bus driver, just like a teacher who kids come to love, it's the people in the cafeteria who build meaningful relationships with children, which is why they come to school.
Yes.
You show me a caring adult in any form, especially one who feeds you, and I'll show you a child who's more likely to come, and we'll see improvement in attendance. And I think the other thing that's special in Marietta, and Cindy deserves a lot of this credit, but we've also been very intentional about developing a menu that reflects the cultural interests of our kids. So not only do they find caring adults, but they also find food to which they can connect.
Absolutely.
And in a community as diverse as Marietta, that's something that I'm really grateful for Cindy and her team, and really proud of that our kids, my own kids, get to experience that.
That's wonderful. Food should feel like home, right?
Yeah.
So Cindy, how has your administration supported the school nutrition program, and what does that backing look like in practice?
Well, as you can see,
Yes.
we have a lot of support, and but it's coming from all angles. Our administrators at the school level, the people that I report into directly or indirectly with, everybody understands the mission of making sure that our students have the best of what they can have while at school. From the beginning of the day, from getting on the bus to having breakfast to their school day, all of that is being supported. And I think that one thing as a school nutrition director is, but we can't wait on that support. many times you hear, and it's one of those things that kind of irks me a little bit, is, oh, we're at the bottom of the building or at the far corner of the building. And kind of going back to that party scenario, I'm all about inviting myself to the party. Because if I want to make sure that we are engaging, not just with our students, but with our staff members, from our kitchen staff members to the school staff members, they don't know what's always is happening, because you get kind of funneled into, what am I doing today? What's important for me to make sure I get done for our students? So just making those connections from our school's cafeteria staff members to the school staff members, and then knowing and communicating how important the roles that the kitchen staff does to assist and be part of that school education is really important.
Yeah, because school nutrition is a part of the academic process. It's not a siloed subset. It's a part of it.
Yes.
Like to Grant's point, when children aren't fed, they can't learn. So it's a critical, vital part of the academic process. And
Right.
sometimes we have to help people identify and make those connections so they see it a little more clearly. So Dr. Rivera, what drove you to support Cindy's decision to bring a district chef aboard, and what positive outcomes have you seen from that investment?
Yeah, so I think, I'll share kind of two parts to that. And I think it speaks to Cindy's leadership, it speaks to, I think, her department, and certainly to Marietta. So when Cindy came forward and said, hey, listen, we're interested in hiring a chef who could help us diversify our menu, well, the reality was the answer was an easy yes. Because at the end of the day, listen, there are a lot of people in cafeterias all day long keeping the plate spinning and the food flowing. But the reality is that if we can hire someone who could be dedicated to be more thoughtful and intentional with their day about creating a menu and food selection that would connect with children, well, that's going to get more kids interested. And listen, what's been amazing is that it's not just been the kids, it's also been the adults.
Yeah.
I mean, there are many adults. I mean, I think distinctly back to Black History Month, when emails were going out to the central office saying like, hey, here's the menu in our schools. And we were all like, I got to get there. And it just became the talk every week. But I think it goes back to another idea, and I'll share with you this quick story, and that is, whether the idea was hiring a chef or whether it's just another idea that she has, I think what I appreciate and respect as superintendent is that Cindy and her team will execute on ideas. Listen, the food's got to go, the kids got to get fed, but also how do we continue to do innovative things? I will never forget the time when we had a funder contact us like 7 o'clock on a Thursday night. And she said, hey, I want to write a $10,000 check. What is the possibility you could send home meals with every kid at Lockheed Elementary School? A school with over 700 kids. And we called Cindy that night. I said, Cindy, can you make this happen? Because we got a $10,000 check if we can. And it was just a private donor in our community who wanted to send bags home and food home in every backpack. That wasn't about the cafeteria. It wasn't about school nutrition guidelines. It was about an idea, just like with Chef David. But in this case, it was an idea where we were able to execute fast and do right by kids. And I think that's where, for me as superintendent, we start with yes, because they've built that level of trust, and they've shown that they will do so much more beyond than just serving food in a cafeteria. Connecting with menus and kids, being innovative around philanthropic partners who want to do things at the last minute. When you were at Costco that Friday morning when the doors opened. So I have tremendous respect for the ideas that come out of that department and how we can be nimble and quick. And when that happens, it builds a real trusting relationship where we start with yes. It's kind of like you had me at hello.
So Cindy, Marietta City Schools has a strong culinary arts program. Can you tell us about it and what it means for students in the school nutrition program, and how do you get students involved?
That has been such a beautiful marriage of two departments that just makes sense to bend and just blend together. So we reached out to the culinary chef, the teacher, and just throwing out ideas like, what can we do to incorporate not just the ideas, but also this is an opportunity for the students that are interested in culinary, even if it's, I just have to take this class, or some of them may have some form of interest in culinary, to actually see it live and happening. So little by little it grew, and now that we, with Chef David, it even grew faster and bigger. So how we collaborate together with Chef Watson, who's the teacher, is our students have the opportunity to come to the kitchen and work all throughout the kitchen, from serving to prepping to cleaning to everything in between, so that they can learn something in the classroom and then put it into action. That's where it began from last year with Chef David. Where it has grown and what we plan to do, and this is new to you and exciting for us, is what we plan to do and what we have been doing, because the past couple of years we encouraged our students to participate in the state culinary competition, and we've gotten pretty far with that. And so with that, we've been developing recipes for the past couple of years. So we're going to take those recipes, create a menu based on those recipes, to then have one serving line dedicated to our Marietta High School Blue Devils culinary menu items, so that, again, it takes a lot of pride to be able to create something that is going to be served to a few hundred people.
Your peers too.
Exactly, and their peers. So that is something that we're really excited about, and and just that collaboration of the students, the culinary teacher, the chef, our manager, our staff. It just builds these really strong relationships, and again, the trust that, hey, now our students, the culinary students, become our advocates, become those that can speak and say, hey, you guys, that's hard work back there, and I've been doing that too, and it does taste good, and it's made with lots of love. So it's been really fun.
That's one of the takeaways we learned from the interview with the Gwinnett County students a couple of FuelCast episodes back. They earned or developed a healthy respect for what it actually took to get a quality school meal into production and consumed by people. So I think exposing children to all of the nuanced pieces that take place in the background is not just putting food on a plate. It's a lot of steps, it's a lot of engagement, it's a lot of care, a lot of love and concern that truly gets a quality meal to a plate and consumed by students and even teachers.
Right, exactly.
So let me ask you some more about food insecurity. How does the school nutrition program connect with or support food access and combating food insecurity in your community?
Yeah, so this is very personal for me. I grew up on this program, and I proudly say I am a product of the school nutrition program. So I know how important, when you come to school and you have the opportunity to have breakfast and to have lunch, it eliminates or at least diminishes some of that financial burden on the family. So I understand that very dearly. And I take that with a lot of pride to know that some of our students understand that from very young. So what we do is we do almost anything to make sure that our families have access to not just the food, as I said earlier, but now have access to fill out their application as quickly as possible. So we are at every single open house at the beginning of the school year. We are a staff of 5, and we have 12 schools. But we make it happen. And how we make that happen goes back to leadership. So because we're only 5 people and we have 12 schools, we have support staff that helps us at all of our schools. I was the only Spanish speaker in the office. Now I have actually 2 other people that speak Spanish, which is helpful. So we divide and conquer that. But that support comes from having other parent liaisons, people that have access to either English, Spanish, and Portuguese, our 3 main languages, so that we can get our families, to complete their application as soon as possible. That big push comes in the beginning of the school year, but then throughout the whole entire school year, we don't ever take that foot off the pedal, because we want to make sure if we see a student who is charging often, we go ahead and proactively start calling home and say, hey, maybe you missed doing an application, or if we can't get in touch with them, how do we communicate with a social worker or someone at the school level that may know the family better than we do? And it's all about communication at that end. And and I know Dr. Rivera hears me say this a lot. Not having money for food is not a child problem. That's an adult problem. So we have to have adult conversations to ensure that our students can have the meals at the benefits that they should have. So it's just a lot of communicating with the family member or whoever is responsible for the child to ensure that we get that done as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I don't know why curiosity came to mind. It's wonderful that you are curious enough or invested in the process enough to go the extra step, so to ensure that the child has exactly what they need. It's not a child problem, it is an adult problem. So how do we navigate to the adult to mitigate it? So great work. I'm going to transition to you, Grant. So, and from the other side, how does your administration back Cindy and the program in those goals?
Yeah, so let's go back to the question you just asked about making sure that families have support throughout the entire school year. We never take our foot off the pedal. So I remember when Cindy, who leads our nutrition department, went to collaborate with Kim Ellis, who leads our transportation department. And the thought was very simple, like how do we create something visible in the community where, and it might serve multiple needs, but in this case, we knew that it could be something where families would know this is a safe place. Marietta City Schools is coming to me to help fill out my lunch application. So we took an old bus that was otherwise going to be chopped up for parts. Guys in transportation redid it, smacked a Marietta M on the side, and now that bus goes around to all the apartment complexes and has Wi-Fi access, and we can complete applications. And I think another idea on how we try to partner administratively is we really push our principals to say, all right, identify every marquee event that you have at your school and how, where families are already going to be a captive audience, and how do we seamlessly slide inside of that completion of lunch application. So whether it's going to an apartment complex on a bus that would otherwise be a pile of metal somewhere that we've now renovated, that people understand when this thing comes, that equals food.
Absolutely.
And that equals access. Or how we integrate it into the other events we do in our district where hundreds of people will show up, whether it's PTA or otherwise. All those things exist. We have opportunities for a captive audience. It doesn't have to be a separate lane over here to get children fed. And I think, you know, for us, it's really about, and we haven't even touched on how the district supports school nutrition relative to food pantries at schools, totally separate from cafeterias. But we have a team of people who are dedicated to working with different partners, MUST Ministries and others, to make sure that we can provide food even outside the normal school day on a weekly and monthly basis to families. So for us, it's a comprehensive discussion. This is not a lane for school nutrition or a lane for transportation. When it comes to a child, it's everybody's lane, and it's everybody's conversation.
So how does community involvement amplify what you're doing inside and outside of the school?
Yeah, I mean, I think it speaks really to the examples that I just shared. And the idea is our community understands that we care about the well-being of their child and their family. So for us, as an extension of school nutrition, establishing food pantries, for us, making sure that families have access, like, as you mentioned, not just during the day, but in the evening. Those are all the different examples that we pride ourselves on. Listen, we're going to do right by a kid from 8 to 3. And then we're going to do right by their family from 3 to 10. And there have been many situations where our social workers will identify a family in need. We'll partner with a local donor, philanthropic agency, church, whomever, to make sure that families who might need groceries as a result of fill in the blank, whatever it may be, that we can make sure that we take care of those things. So for us, it's, I don't want to use a corny term like ecosystem, but it's an entire ecosystem.
It is.
That we really pride ourselves on. At the end of the day, we put our children and our families at the top of that ecosystem, and all the adults understand that our job is to hold hands, overlap whenever necessary, to make sure the processes work for children. And again, central at that is making sure they're fed.
Yeah, I think ecosystem is the perfect term to describe it. Everything's interrelated, so nothing is over here or over there. It's all a cyclical kind of thing. One thing has to do with the other. What about you, Cindy?
Yeah, so the community is a big part of what we do because that child is part of our community. So we can't just think about the student or the child. We have to truly think outside of that. There's a few things. So one is, you know, how do we partner, you know, with different programs, and an easy space is our after-school program. So for instance, a couple of examples. We have partnered with a troop for Girl Scouts, and you know, they're on our campus, they're doing their meetings at school, so they're eligible for an after-school snack. And that's something that we have been doing for this school year. Another school, I went to the manager, and I happened to be there during ASP, and I was watching, and I noticed there was probably about 30, 40 kids just kind of in the cafeteria waiting to go do their activity. And I talked to the teacher because she was trying to share about 4 bags of chips with all these kids. I'm like, what are you doing? You know, we have this program. And she's like, I didn't know. So again, it's all constant training with our managers so that they understand it's not just the after school program, but it's any program that has that educational component that our managers can relay that information. Again, be part of that community at school and say, hey, we have an opportunity to service your students in the after school time because you're eligible. So those are a couple of examples, you know, from an after school perspective. This has been a few years back, and it was something that I watched for a couple of years, and then again, because we have the trust, because we can be so nimble, as Thanksgiving was coming towards that time, and you keep thinking and hearing about Giving Tuesday, and you know, and I'm thinking, how could we do that? Because we have charges. We, you know, many school districts have meal charges where students don't bring money in, they haven't applied, whatever is happening. And so I went to our communications director at the time and said, could we come up with like a Giving Tuesday for school nutrition? And that's where our Lunch Angels program grew. And that is truly community involvement, because we have so many individuals, families, churches, organizations, you name it. I don't know who all has really participated. It's such a long list. But these are people that in our community don't want to see a child go hungry.
Right.
And so we utilize those funds to ensure that our students, you know, have access to the meal, while in the meantime, we're ensuring that can we get this family on, you know, their free and reduced status. So it gives us that time to figure out the adult conversation while we provide that access and service to our student.
Yeah. You all are wonderful examples of the core tenets of our program, which is the service of quality school meals, student and community engagement, and providing that professional development that ensures that your staff is able to provide the meals in a compliant manner. Just kudos to you all. We appreciate the work you do. So I'll come back to you, Grant. So what advice would you give to other school leaders who want to get more connected with their nutrition program and build strong relationships with their administrators?
Yeah, so I think building upon some of Cindy's examples, I'll offer 2 thoughts. I think one is internal and one is external. Internal, listen, I remember when I was talking with Cindy about an after-school program. She goes, you know, hey, we can provide snacks. I'm like, really? I think a lot of times as administrators, we don't understand all the nuances. Now, certainly there are a lot of regulations, but we also don't understand the number of opportunities that exist inside of school nutrition. So my internal thought would be to any school administrator, anybody viewing this, be able to say, have a conversation with your school nutrition lead, and then think about taking the information that you learned about what the guidelines are and invite a meeting with every after-school sponsor and coach that exists in your school. Because there might be places where there's a very clear connection where you could provide snacks. But there also might be ways where they could tweak what they're doing to then therefore make themselves eligible. So I think there's a conversation, whether it's a Girl Scout troop, whether it's tutoring, you know, whether it's a football team that actually ends up doing tutoring only on Wednesdays, and there's a lot of things, and I think if administrators can understand what the regulations are and where the levers are, more importantly, and then initiate a conversation. The only reason after-school programs and coaches and sponsors aren't doing it is because they don't understand the stipulations and requirements. If they knew what was available to them, they'd do it. Yeah. I think the second thought that I have, the second recommendation for anybody listening, would be external, and that is, what I know is that there is an infrastructure that exists in every school community. It could be a church. It could be local leaders. Some are bigger or smaller than others. Listen, not everyone has Marietta or Atlanta. Some people may be in other parts of the state, but there's still an infrastructure in every state, or in every school district across the state. And I think there's an opportunity to reach out to those people and say, how can we make sure that every child is fed? Listen, we do a lot of fundraising. We'll ask for boxes of tissues. We'll ask for cheerleading fees. We'll ask for all kinds of things out in the community. And yet nothing to me is as compelling as a child being well, fed well, being healthy. So I would really encourage, in the same way that you should reach out to everybody who's involved in an after-school program or otherwise to figure out how we can get food to those kids, The other opportunity is to reach out externally and have a conversation, and it's really simple. Would anyone like to lean in and help us make sure that kids are fed during the school day and after? That's how the Lunch Angels program came about. We simply asked on Giving Tuesday, when there's a lot of noise on Giving Tuesday, and yet that our noise, our needs resonated more so than a lot of others. So I think there's just an opportunity to A, engage the community, and B, engage those that are involved in extracurricular activities. And to me, that comprehensively built an entire nutrition program.
Absolutely. Cindy, what about you?
Yeah, so from the aspect from the school nutrition director, again, I can't emphasize this enough. You can't wait to be asked. Sometimes, and most of the time, I have to reach out in a positive manner because I can't assume what people know. And as Grant mentioned, our program, there's so many regulations and there's so many stipulations. And oftentimes we're like, no, we can't do that. And I don't know about that. But the mentality in our district is, it's innovation. Yes, let me figure it out. But I always have mentioned to Grant is like, yes, let me figure it out, but I'll make sure that we do it correctly.
Yeah.
And so that's where a little bit of that patience and grace come. Like, yes, let me think about it. Okay, yes, we can do that.
I can think of a lot of examples.
Because I always I'm so excited. Who wouldn't be excited to feed a child?
Yeah.
That brings me so much excitement. And to be able to do it in a fun and innovative way should be exciting. And that's where, that very first question you asked, what's a typical day like?
Yeah.
There is no typical day when you have innovation.
Right.
And that's what makes getting up, no matter what time it is, to get to, to my office, to a school, wherever I land first. That's what makes it exciting because it's the innovation of our program that just continues to grow and to get better. Yeah. So the reaching out first is important, not waiting and waiting. And they're like, they don't ever ask or they don't ever tell. Guess what? Communication's two ways.
Yep.
And sometimes we have to spark that information from the school nutrition perspective. Another opportunity from, coming from the staff members, be it administration, your teachers, I talk to anybody and everybody who's willing to listen about school nutrition because there is so much to learn about it. And oftentimes, if not almost every single time, they're like, whoa, I didn't know that about school nutrition.
Right.
And it just keeps opening their eyes, their minds to the opportunities that we have to be able to continuously serve our students. And even more so, the family and so forth. So I think it's just, I can't make it more important just to have that open communication, but also invite the questions. Yeah. Don't be afraid of being asked a question about your program. I mean, because in every school nutrition program, in every single district in the state, in this nation, we're the one. There's one school nutrition director. Now you have staff members, but you're the only one doing that in your district. Yeah. So they should come to you for questions. They should come to you with inquiries. And you should be open to that because why wouldn't you be proud of what you're doing for your students?
Yeah, you all are powerful examples, and I'll use your word, Grant, leaning into innovation, leaning into having those crucial conversations, leaning into being change agents in your community. I think it's noteworthy, and I hope people take examples from you all as they approach school nutrition and how superintendents and school nutrition directors collaborate and make those connections to amplify what we can do for students.
Yeah, thank you.
So I have a lighthearted question for you. What was your favorite school meal growing up? Cindy, you go first.
Okay, so junior high, way back in the day, it was a bean and cheese burrito. And my school lunch lady, I told her how much I liked them. And for 1 week, people out there, I don't know how she did this, but I had a bean and cheese burrito Monday through Friday that week. So I was like, do you have another one? Do you have another one? And she, the whole entire week, had a bean and cheese burrito. It was the best school nutrition meal of
I'd say that had an impact on how you approach school nutrition today.
Yes.
What about you, Grant?
See, I remember elementary school, Miss Beth was our cafeteria manager. I remember her name. But I lived for that little rectangular pizza. I mean, I
Me
wanted
too.
it on that plate, put the pizza right there, and put the milk over there.
That's some fruit cocktail,
She's
maybe.
my favorite person in elementary. My favorite memory from elementary
Yes.
school. I had many, but she's at the top of the list.
That's amazing. I'm a square piece of rectangular era
Yeah.
girl, so I completely understand. All right, so now that we know what your favorite meal was growing up, tell me what your favorite meal is now. What do you like to eat in the cafeteria?
All right, so so I get to eat in the cafeteria a lot. In fact, Cindy knows this, but one of the things that we do in Marietta is all of our staff get to eat in the cafeteria on Friday for free. So what we do is we leverage after-school programs and driver's ed and other places where we make money as a district. And we just route that as a staff perk, but the purpose really is because we know they'll be fed well. Like,
Yeah.
Right? So I eat a lot of meals, but I have one favorite, and that's every Thanksgiving, the turkey dinner. And you know why I love it? Yes, the food's incredible, but it is the one time a year where I can sit in the cafeteria and we run out of seats because it's parents and kids, and I look and other central office staff are helping serve. So, I mean, every day the food is amazing. That's why our staff love eating on Friday, but for that matter, every day. But for me, it's about the sense of community that she's able to create
Yeah.
when we look around a cafeteria at the Thanksgiving meal. And I sit with my daughters. I've got 2 kids,
Awesome.
one in elementary. The middle school doesn't invite me in, the middle schooler. I'm no longer welcome. But my 5th grader loves it, as do I, and I look forward to it every year.
Awesome. What about you, Cindy?
It is so hard. That's a hard question. So I will say we have added, and Grant alluded to this earlier, our population of students, our demographic is 40% Black, 40% Hispanic, 18% white, 2% others. And because of that, and when we brought in our chef, I wanted to make sure that our students, especially those that are coming from different countries, could not be overwhelmed in the cafeteria, because it's very overwhelming when you don't speak English and the food, you don't understand what that is. So we've incorporated more and more Latin and Hispanic foods, but what was important to me is that how can we make this as authentic as possible? So to answer your question, at the high school, we serve a chicken and cheese, I have to think about it, hold on. It's a chicken and cheese enchilada, and plantains, and yuca fries. When I sit, I literally will just sit and look at my plate and take a bite, and I'm home.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier.
Yeah, so the plantains is one of my favorite things to eat since growing up. So when I have the opportunity to eat that on campus, surrounded by all of our students, because I always sit in the cafeteria, it's heaven. I love it.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Thank you. All right. I want to thank Dr. Cindy Culver and Dr. Grant Rivera for joining us today. We had such a wonderful conversation, really exemplifying the power of collaboration and what it really means to be curious and be a change agent in your community. We thank you all for joining us today, and I hope everyone was able to gain something exceptional from our conversation today.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Want to learn more about school meals in Georgia? Here are 4 easy ways to stay in the know. Learn what's on the menu in your student's school. Follow your local school nutrition team on their social media accounts. Go eat a meal with your student in their school cafeteria. And as always, connect with us, the Georgia Department of Education School Nutrition Division, to know what's going on statewide. You can connect with us via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn with the hashtag FuelingGA. You can also email us at fuelingga@godot.org. Until next time, the Georgia Department of Education School Nutrition Division is fueling Georgia's future with excellence, one quality school meal at a time.
Thanks for joining us on FuelCast Georgia. Want more of Georgia School Nutrition? Connect with us on social media using hashtag FuelingGA and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We're here every month with new engaging guests and inspiring stories. Have questions or ideas for future topics? Email us at fuelingga@godot.org. Until next time, the Georgia Department of Education School Nutrition Division is fueling Georgia's future with excellence, one school meal at a time.